Hello and welcome! We're getting right into this match. Ooh, and we're faced against another Darkclaw. How interesting! Ah! But seriously, we're gonna get rid of Wolf. I wanted to go over this deck again, and I wanted to focus more on the gameplay, because I really focused on the deck last match, and so I want to talk more about how I play the deck and stuff. So Blood Moon is your best friend. Don't get rid of those. Here, I'll probably get rid of the Wulven Predator. Planning on playing this bad wolf next turn. Play the Blood Moon for some good old draw. We're playing Justin ZZW. I don't really know how to say it besides that. Justin's. Yep, that's okay. So we did that. Ooh, we're gonna keep this. Oh, so if you did watch the last video, I had 2 regeneration in the deck, and I replaced that with 2 Spectral Sabres. So that is what I did with that. So next thing we're gonna do. Probably sacrifice the What Big Teeth. Bye, What Big Teeth. You can kind of sacrifice a What Big Teeth, especially if you have a Fangs of the Predator. Because it's like if you play What Big Teeth and then you play Fangs of the Predator, it's going to destroy the What Big Teeth. So you want to kind of save What Big Teeth for the end of the game, not the beginning. But I mean, it doesn't always work out like that. I'm going to assume this is a solo Darkclaw, so I'm going to sacrifice that. We are going to get rid of his Speedstrike, I think. Should we get rid of his Speedstrike or Lonely Wolf? I got rid of his Speedstrike, so that is what happened. I made a decision. I kind of just make decisions sometimes, and you know, sometimes they work out and help me, and most of the time I don't really know what happens. No, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to explain why I make moves. You know, I just kind of play the game and make moves. Thinking is, yeah. I couldn't think of a good joke or even anything interesting to say after saying that. So awkward. It's a little awkward. What do I want to talk about? There's this Lonely Wolf. So that's kind of frustrating. It's really frustrating, actually. Couple of options. I am going to get rid of these Fangs of the Predator. I think that is what's going to happen. And yeah. No. Is that what I want to do? What do I want to do? I don't remember. I could choose to sack Lamb my ally, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to. I'll just end my turn. Yeah, I think one of the advantages this deck does have is it kind of plays around with the meta a little bit. People might sacrifice, like, oh, Darkclaw, it's probably solo. I'll sacrifice ally-related cards. Oops, he has allies. I think that's what happens, because I'll run up through a whole match and like my opponent will only play like 2 mind controls or 2 crippling blows, and it's like, he probably didn't really realize stuff. That's okay. Should we? Oh man, let's get rid of one. I don't like it. I don't like it any more than you do, but that's what's happening. We have to get rid of the one so we can play it. This guy is a good guy to get out early before your opponent has set up. Now, it's not really as important, I guess, against the solo Darkclaw. But if you can get him out and your opponent doesn't have any allies on the board, that is something you should try to accomplish. I don't care if you have to sacrifice a good card for it. It's usually the right move. He's going to capture prey it, which, okay, I have a Sac Lamb for it. It's not the worst thing in the world, so, yeah. But remember that Howlfang here does give +1 attack to Wulven allies, so you gotta attack first, do the 4 damage, then you can kill him off. Grab the cards, awesome, then we'll play the Speedstrike. Then we'll totally go for the throat of our Darkclaw brethren here. And yeah, we're gonna end my turn. So I will say one of the things this deck struggles is because it doesn't have healing now. I don't know. If you look at the deck list, the 2 Spectral Sabres, it's like there's so many different choices for that. You can choose to do it for, I mean, I've had regeneration in there, bloodthirsty, tons of cards, tons of different cards. So I don't really know what's the best card there. Because I know if I run against like a Stall Knee-Shaven deck with poison and stuff, I want the regeneration because that's more helpful. There I sacrifice a Bad Santa. That's pretty much the move. You don't want to give him cards, considering he only has 2. And you sacrifice it to play your Tiger Wulf and your Blood Moon. So this match is going really well. Actually, the Darkclaw doesn't have a weapon, which is probably really frustrating for him. He's probably very frustrated. We get a Sac Lamb. So that's 2 of them. Okay, we'll use one. Ooh, this guy's nice. This guy is so helpful late game. So helpful late game. Let's just drag the thing. So yeah, we can talk about Tiger Wulf is a good all-around card. This guy is a good Lightning Hunter is a good sack early, play late game. It's great for at the end when you need to like deal 9 damage to kill him off. You can like, you know, hopefully you got your Shadow Energy. You can deal 9 with your weapon and then 3 with the guy, bring him in. He does have a Fangs Predator of his own, so he's finally going to be able to use his Shadow Energy, which, you know, I'll say that is a weakness to this deck. Is sometimes you end up with a lot of Shadow Energy and you're not really taking advantage of it, and that can hurt you a lot. We are going to get rid of the Sac Lamb. I'm lucky I got those early. I will tell you that right now. We will get rid of his Lone Wolf because it is later and I'd rather just do the damage. And we'll throw out the Wulven Predator. We'll use my ability because I'm not worried about him having allies. And we're going to go straight for him. Straight for the forum. Yeah. Yeah, and we're actually, if he can't do anything, we actually win next turn. So, this was a really quick match. That happens sometimes. This deck really, it plays a couple ways. Some matches go like this, where you're in control, driving the whole match the entire time. And then I've been in matches like this, where Zaldar pulls out a stupid, or a Speedstrike. A Speedstrike can ruin things very quickly. Oh, I have a Speedstrike in my hand. Do you look at that? I have a Speedstrike in my hand. What do you know? I kept it. I didn't sacrifice it. That's always good practice. If you know your opponent runs something like I'm playing Darkclaw, he probably has Spectral Sabre, it's a popular card, blah blah blah. Not just going to get rid of all my Speedstrikes. Definitely going to keep them. So, just good practice. We are going to bring this out so that we can do 4 damage instead of just 2. And then hopefully he can't heal himself, and I'm going to be able to pull out Lightning Hunter and kill him if he somehow destroys my weapon. I mean, or I could kill him with the weapon. But the nice thing about Lightning Hunter is they can't really foresee it because it just comes out and kills you. Very frustrating, I'm sure, for the opponent. Couldn't do anything. He gives up. GG. Whatever. Broham. It was a good match. It's this deck really. I've done really well against solo Darkclaws with this deck because we kind of have the same tools, but I'm throwing allies out, and he can't really deal with a solo Darkclaw deals with a lot of allies well, or other solo decks, depending on how you build your solo Darkclaw. But decks that really do it all, you know, solo Darkclaw at least is going to have a lot of trouble against. You know, bring allies out, bring weapons out, use abilities, just they kind of do it all. So that was the match. Let's take a real quick look at the deck. So I'll just go over kind of the cards real quick and their synergies super quick because I made a really long video talking way too long, way longer than I should have. So I added these. I had Regeneration in there, and I also had Bloodlust, and I've also had Full Moon. This is kind of my empty spot where I don't really know what to do with the card, and I've been kind of playing around with a lot of stuff. I haven't tried just taking it out, but I don't know. I want the card. I want it to do something, you know? So I'm not really sure what the biggest weakness of the deck is, you know, so that's kind of, yeah. This card changes a lot. We got Howlfang. He's awesome. I usually only get to play one a game, but he really puts a wrench into things. Usually I like to get him out when there's no allies on the board, but if there are a lot of allies on the board, being able to play him and another ally can kind of help your opponent, because then your opponent has to focus on your allies and not you, and that kind of lets you regroup, get another weapon out, gain some shadow energy, you know, and kind of come back. Lightning Hunter, as I said before, I always sack it early, and it's mainly for late game, or if I can run into a situation where I can get it out without taking the penalties of its card, then I'll throw it out there just to throw it out there. Tiger Wulf is a great card. It's my only item destruction. Well, I guess Spectral Sabre's, you know, attachment destruction, but Tiger Wulf is my item destruction. I don't actually get to use the item destruction that much, so it's not the worst. He's more like you throw him out there and he's kind of a threat and people get scared and they make him like top priority because they get really scared of him, and that's really helpful. He also is kind of a counter to like Crippling Blow, because if you're playing a warrior, they know they can't just Crippling Blow him because then you can still use his ability. And it's like, who cares that he dies? I can't attack with him anyway. So he's a little bit of a frustrating card. Blood Moon, that's your main source of draw. Always keep all of these cards, unless you draw 3 in your opening hand, which I did. But I think I actually ended up keeping them all. So this is definitely the best draw to have in the deck. Unless I guess you're going against warriors, because then Sacrificial Lamb works really well, because you know they're going to play Crippling Blow at some point, probably. Wulven Predator, I have 4 of him because Stealth and Protector are the worst enemies of this deck. Even though I do well with Moonstalker most matches, I think it's because I have him in here, and Protector cards like Aeon just destroy this deck. Aeon is one of the most difficult cards to deal with in this deck. I really barely have an answer for him. The only really way to deal with him is to have Speedstrike on, Fangs of Predator, out, 3 Shadow Energy, and then you can do all 8 damage to him. But if you're playing a deck with Aeon, they probably have good item destruction and good attachment destruction and other such things like a Zana, and it's very frustrating. Too Bad Santa, these are kind of my emergency draws. Just throw it in there because sometimes you can Santa Bomb at the beginning of the game, or you can, if your opponent has a lot of cards and you don't have a lot of allies out, like you're playing something like a Zaladar, which is effectively getting rid of a lot of your allies, Sac Lamb becomes kind of useless. But because Zaladar usually relies on Bad Santa himself, using Bad Santa in key situations on your own time can give you a card advantage. Sacrificial Lamb, that's another draw that I have that is really important. It's because it's ally based, so it's very helpful. Blood Moon does not do the job on its own, and usually it is a combination between Blood Moon and Sacrificial Lamb that gets the draw done. Gets me cards during the match. It's You kind of need to combine both, because not all games, you know, I don't want to give a Rush, a Lodwyn, a Bad Santa, for example. That sounds like a terrible idea. So, you know, kind of mixing it up, have a lot of draws. What Big Teeth? This is the main weapon of the Wulven class. If you're playing Darkclaw and you don't have What Big Teeth, what are you thinking? You play What Big Teeth. It's such a helpful card, especially since in this deck, because I don't mind. So other Darkclaw decks, it's a real big deal if you Shriek of Vengeance, the What Big Teeth, and it gets destroyed. It'll really put a wrench into things. This deck, I have 6 weapons, because I have 3 of these and 3 of the Fangs of the Predator. Not as much of a big deal. Plus I have allies doing their own thing. So it's kind of cool because I can throw it out there, and I actually think Shriek of Vengeance gives me an advantage because it takes away one of the resources. So I think that's like a cool little thing. Speedstrike, I would love to have 4, but my deck is already at 45 cards, as you can see. So it's 3. It's obviously, it goes great with Darkclaw. You can do a lot of great things with it. Preferably you get this early to mid game, but I've easily won games without getting one. So I guess I guess I read something that Speedstrike was an essential part of a Darkclaw deck. It's very important, but I wouldn't call it essential because I've definitely won games with just the allies, just using my ability and being able to attack once with the the Fangs of the Predator. The What Big Teeth and attacking once doesn't really do a lot, but the Fangs of the Predator, because you can get it up to 4 damage, definitely makes it, you know, Speedstrike becomes a little less important. Now your Mind is in here to just give me a little bit of board control, especially heroes that use a lot of 3cc guys like Zaladar will, or this also helps with, let's say, Elementalists, because he can get something really big, but I have a card like this that can kill it really easily. If he gets like a, oh, what's it called? Ironhide Karash, super big or something. We've got 3 Pack Wolf. These are very helpful. I actually usually sacrifice them at the beginning of a game more, and I like to play them mid-game. I will sacrifice them usually late in early game. Getting board presence out early isn't necessarily what you need to do with this deck. It's helpful sometimes, and if I have 2 in my hand, and I'm playing, let's say I have 2 in my hand, and I'm playing against an Lodwyn, I will play it, because I know that Lodwyn's probably going to be bringing a lot of small stuff. And, well, even if I don't have 2 in my hand, you know, so you kind of have to pick and choose which heroes you're going to play it against. Like Zaladar, it's almost pointless. It saves 3 damage from your hero, but I'd rather sacrifice it and play other cards to deal with them. But it definitely helps with getting board presence early if you're going against a Rush and you don't know if you're going to get your Speedstrike or your What Big Teeth, you know, at any point in the match to deal with those small guys. Capture Prey, this is my only real answer for big things. I can do Fangs of the Predator, Speedstrike, you know, and you use your ability, but a lot of stuff has to match up for that to work. Usually what happens with Fangs of the Predator is it's getting rid of allies with 4 health, or attacking the hero real late, and because then you're able to do 8 damage to the hero, which can be the deciding factor in the game, instead of doing 6 with your What Big Teeth. Often, I will point out with the Fangs of the Predator, oftentimes what I will do is I will hold on to one just in my hand and keep out What Big Teeth. And I'm waiting to a point where I can get my opponent down to 8 health, or I've been in many games, many matches where I have an ally out on the board, so either a Bad Wolf or a Wulven Predator, and my opponent is at 11 health. He probably doesn't think he's in too much crisis mode. I don't know. He probably, I mean, I am sure if he has a healing card at that point, he's going to play it, but usually they think they have 2 health left, I'm assuming. I don't know. It happens all the time where they'll have 11 health of 1 ally on the board, and I've just been holding on like the entire match to a Fangs of the Predator. So I play the Fangs of the Predator, I get to do 8 damage with my ability and Speedstrike, and then I get to do 3 with my ally, and that does the 11 and I win the match. And lastly, Bad Wolf. Because if you didn't notice, all of these allies are Wulven, so I had to choose all Wulven allies so that it would go with Howlfang and Fangs of the Predator, which I think are the only two cards that deal with it, but it works. It actually works quite well. I will say that with this deck, I have been able to take advantage of how Fangs of the Predator's ability, which would be the point of building a deck sort of like this, is to take advantage of this ability. You know, that's the whole point. I want to kill stuff, and then I want my allies to get an attack boost. So it's definitely very helpful. I've definitely run into situations where it's stacked too, because you can attack twice. So if you kill two things, all of a sudden all of your allies get +2 attack, and I don't know if it's been a deciding factor in a game, you know, the little plus attack, but because most of the time you use this to kill the allies, and then you're taking advantage of the +1 attack by damaging the hero. That's not always the case, but that's most of the time what happens. So, but I've definitely done lots and lots of damage to an opponent in one turn. I've done crazy stuff, like I've had 2 allies on the board, he's had 3. You know, I get my Shadow Energy, I have Speedstrike on, but you know, he maybe has Blood Frenzy or whatever. We seem pretty even, and then all of a sudden I bring out Fangs of the Predator, I kill 2 of his allies, then I use one of my ally, which now has 5 attack, to kill the 3rd one, and then the other ally gets to damage the hero for 5 damage, and it works really well. Things like that work really well. Now, it doesn't always come together like that all the time in every match, but when it does, it feels great. So that's all I have to say about this deck and the match. Any last thoughts is I was planning on putting this deck on the forums and strategy and really talking about it a lot. And so hopefully I attach this video with it, because that was kind of the plan. But I definitely hope you kind of look at this deck, because I've definitely had great success with it. I'm not 300 anymore. I've really been struggling. I don't know why, but I definitely think this is a 300 caliber deck if played correctly. I don't know. I've just been tired or whatever. Proof that I'm like around 300. 295. I was 300 in the other video. Whatever. I'm bragging. I'm like telling you. I'm good. Yeah. Didn't have anything to say after. Good. This has been a very troublesome speaking day. Anyway, thanks for watching. As always, comment, rate, and subscribe to my channel. If you didn't know what subscribe meant. Bye.